Welcome to the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and this is the place to get all the information on what's going on inside the athletic department at IU Kokomo. And joining us once again, he has been here for a couple weeks. It is Grant Patterson. He is one of the two assistant athletic directors at IUK. Grant, it's been a while. How you been, man?
Yeah, man, it has been a long time. I saw you last night. Didn't talk to you, but saw you previously at the Jackrabbits game, and I was like, man, I get to go into the Post and CJ tomorrow. And it has been at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So we've been busy. I've had other stuff to put on the show, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. So it's good to be back here.
You know, speaking of busy, we actually had the opportunity recently, and Grant helped us out kind of coordinate things with Coach Josh Colvin, and he was talking to the track athletes that competed at the Outdoor National Meet. And IU Kokomo is one of those schools that had not only one All-American, they had two, Sydney Duncan and how was it? That's the last name, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, Sydney Duncan and Emma Byram were both All-American in the throws at that meet a week ago. Grant, Sydney won her second, and she's only a freshman. Emma got one this year. Don't know how many total, but getting one, getting two, doesn't really matter. If you're an All-American, that's amazing.
Yeah, to say the least. Emma was able to end her collegiate career on a high note. Her first ever All-American, not nomination, but track and field is different than other sports. You have to earn the nod. You have to earn the nod as an All-American, whereas in basketball, you just have to have a good season, and then you are voted upon. Mm-hmm. Track and field is different. You finish in the top 8 of your event at nationals, and you're an All-American. Well, Emma did just that. She earned All-American status at the day prior to Sydney. She earned it last Wednesday. It was remarkable. You get 3 throws in your flight. So she goes into her third throw of her flight. The top 9 advance to finals. She goes in, she's ranked 13th or 14th. So she knows that she has to improve by 5 spots in order to get into finals. And her third throw, our athletic director, Heather Hayes, and I were watching from the bleachers. So we had a good angle right in front of her family. We had a good angle of how far the javelin was going approximately, comparing it to the throws we had seen previously. And I was like, man, that son of a gun is flying a ways. And then her parents erupted. They're much more experienced than me when it comes to track and field events. That was my first ever collegiate track and field event that I've covered. So it was an awesome experience for me. But to hear them go crazy, I was like, okay, something good just happened. Like she should be able to jump. And believe it or not, she did. She jumped into the top 5. So her celebration was awesome. She kept it pretty even-keeled, but the coaching staff did not, and deservedly so. She has earned that. And so your throws carry over to the finals. Okay. So that throw still had her in 5th, beginning the finals. And I think it was her second throw of finals that she improved upon her mark by 1 spot. Not necessarily 1 meter, maybe more than that, maybe less, can't necessarily remember, but she improved up to 4th, and that's where she would finish. So she finished 4th of 9 in the finals, but 4th of 31 overall, I believe. So that's the 31 best female javelin throwers in the nation in the NAIA, and she finishes 4th. That's remarkable in itself. And then she's in the top half of the All-Americans, so it was just remarkable, an unbelievable way to end your collegiate throwing career. And I think, if anything, I think that gives freshman Sydney Duncan, even though she had earned All-American status at indoor nationals, I think that gives her the confidence that she needed. After struggling a little bit in discus last Wednesday, she gets to see her teammate earn All-American honors, and then she does the same on Thursday. And it was very impressive to see just how dominant she was in shot put, and all year long, really. And she didn't have her best last week, but it was enough to earn her All-American status. As I said, the top 8 get All-Americans, and she was 8th, so she did what she needed to do.
It's insane that when I first started hosting this show, the word excited came from Tom Norris, the former AD at IUK, and that excitement, and I not only talked about the excitement surrounding the athletic department at the time and really throughout the entire school year, but I also talked about how everybody wins. Now, at the time, it was talking about team sports and volleyball and soccer and them winning not only the conference, but making the national tournament, which is great. But on the individual side, in track and field, I hope people don't take for granted what Sydney is currently doing, because, we get the chance to have her on the show and to talk to her and get to know her and get to the person behind the throws. But this is, it's really kind of unheard of. I know it happens before, but dude, 2 All-Americans in your first time competing in indoor and outdoor, that's insane.
Yeah, and she's just done it in shot put. She qualified in, I said discus. She did not qualify in discus. It was hammer throw.
Yeah.
So discus, she was close to qualifying. She wouldn't have been able to compete in discus probably because her arm would have fallen off if she had to compete in all 3 events. But it's coming. I'll say that. It's unbelievable.
It's insane. So that track and field event, the meet, is complete. They also had a few other people compete in that event. Hannah Wells, Maddie Dotlich, Nick Anders, Ethan Carmine, Julian Wallace qualified, did not compete due to some prior traveling arrangements. How did the other 4 do during that meet?
It was impressive all around, to be honest. The first event was Sydney in the hammer throw, and then the second event was Hannah Wells in the steeplechase. I think she would come out and admit that it wasn't her best, but it was a scorching hot day. Scorching hot last Wednesday. By the time she competed, it was a little better temperature-wise. Not the best, especially when you've been out in the heat all day. But, I mean, that event is insane. I think it's 8 laps and no jumps on the first lap, but 35 jumps total between the 8 laps. So you have to jump over 35 different barriers. They're not hurdles, but they're the same height as the female hurdles. So it's difficult, man. Like, I was nervous watching it. Like, oh, don't fall over and scrape yourself. And multiple female student athletes did. Multiple male student athletes did. The water, like, that had to feel good. Like, if it were me, I would have jumped in the water purposely just to cool off because 8 laps is unreal. And I can only, in high school tennis, I could only do like 2 before I was shot.
Yeah.
It's something that I could never imagine. And then Emma was the third of that first day, as we said, remarkable. She caps the day off, gives everybody confidence heading into Thursday. Nothing more to say. I mean, it was just, I was impressed. You qualify last minute, not last minute, but towards the end of the outdoor season at Little State. And she capitalized. I think she had some comfortability just because Little State was at IWU.
Okay.
And that's where outdoor nationals were. So it's the same, I don't know, competition space. Like, I don't know what you call the javelin, where you throw the javelin. You just throw it in the infield. So it's a little different. But the same spot she qualified for is where she finished 4th in the nation. And then Thursday, I believe our first competitor was Sydney in the shot put. And, man, that was awesome. You get to be right up there with my media credential. You're right up there. Like you're right outside the line of where it can be thrown. And, I mean, they can hit you, but they're so good that you don't have to worry about it. At a lesser event, you may have to. But, man, like I said, Sydney didn't have her best. I think she tweaked something in her leg during the warm-ups. She came up a little gimpy. Coach Jordan Fivecoat was sitting there watching me, and I made that mention to him, and he was like, yeah, you're right. I think Josh mentioned not getting enough air under it, but, man, I couldn't throw that weight half as far as she was throwing the weight, so I was super impressed. It came down to her I think her second throw got her into the top 9 to advance out of her flight to finals, and then I don't know that she improved upon her mark, but she did what she needed to do. She actually tied with the 7th and 9th place girl. So she actually finished tied for 7th, but the 7th place girl from Bethel, her second best throw was better than Sydney's, and Sydney's second best throw was better than the 9th. So that is what it came down to. Very different, but it's a tiebreaker that earned her All-American status.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, crazy. And that's not even it. Then we had the race walking, and
that's right.
And that to me it looked miserable. Like walking as fast as you possibly can, and there's so many guidelines that you have to ensure that you're following because there are officials on the track at all 4. It's not a corner because it's a track is not a rectangle.
Yeah.
But in the 4 corners, if you will, of the track, that's where the officials are. And they watch for bent legs. They watch for make sure you have 1 foot on the ground at all times. And if you get 3 red flags, you're out. Maddie Dotlich competed for the women. She improved upon her seeding by 4 spots. So that's remarkable. All you can ask. Didn't quite beat her personal best time, but a miserably hot day again. And to tell you, to put into perspective of just how long of a race that is, they're literally handing out water to you like it's a marathon while you're while you're race walking in the middle of the track, because you'll keep on the inside lanes.
Yeah.
So on like lanes 3 and 4, they'll set up a couple coolers and they'll be handing out water. So as you walk by, you just grab. And most people will dump it on their head.
Yeah.
But You can also drink it.
During the race?
Yeah, during the race. I asked Jordan, our race walking coach, and I was like, that happened everywhere? And he goes, not necessarily everywhere because they might not have the manpower, but it's very common, especially at nationals.
That's, I guess, amazing for them, but
yeah,
that's something I would not have thought about at all.
Right. So she finished 16th, I believe, out of however many race walkers there are in the nation. Obviously, not all of them qualify. But then it goes into the men's race, and Ethan Carmine, I think, was seated 13th. I think he finished 12th.
Okay.
So improved upon his spot by
him.
1. Unfortunately, Nick Anders did not finish. He was disqualified, which it is not easy to not be disqualified.
Right.
I thought there were some student athletes who should have been disqualified based off of it looked like they were running and it looked a little unfair. I think our coaching staff felt the same. It's a little confusing, I think, to everybody. It's a newer sport in the NAI, something that they're still trying to figure out. But hey, unbelievable season by Nick Anders and Ethan Carmine. I think they're both done competing collegiately.
Yeah.
So that was it for them. But like I said, just an unreal week for IU Kokomo Athletics, IU Kokomo Track and Field, just continuing to build a name for themselves as a blue-collar program in the NAI.
With the track and field season being done, that concludes the current athletic calendar year for the IU Kokomo Athletics. And Grant, I didn't prompt you with this via text, but I think you'll be fine answering this right on the spot. How would you describe what went down in the athletic department during the school year?
If I had to say two, like I've told you this before, yes, we're a fairly newer athletic department, been around for 12, 13 years, but record-breaking. I mean, record-breaking, it starts off with volleyball. They're breaking records. They get highest ever program ranking in the top 25. They finish there at 14. They make it to the Sweet 16, first team to take number 1, and then the eventual national champions, Indiana Wesleyan, to 5 sets. We know that we could have beat them. We know that we probably should have beat them, just slipped away a little. It continued on into winter sports, man. It was so impressive for me. Kind of not necessarily my first year working like full on with every sport. Probably best to consider it my second. But it just proved to me that the sky's the limit for our athletic department, and we're going to build significantly upon it in this 2024-2025 school year.
I would hope so. I'm looking forward to it. And even though the athletic calendar and the school year are complete at IUK, the show is not going away for the summer. Grant and I, and maybe some guests throughout the summer, will be here, again, providing updates and different things going on with the IUK athletic department during the summer. They actually have camps throughout the summer. Do they? I don't know if there are any sign-ups still going on with that. Yeah. How does that work if people want to sign up?
Different links. IUKCougars.com has the sign-ups for every camp that you want to join. So IUKCougars.com. Check out our social media pages. The coaches do a great job there. So yeah, don't be hesitant. It's never too late. I'm sure they'll take some sign-ups at the door. So sign your kids up. I
would gladly encourage everyone to sign up and get your youngsters out there to be coached by college coaches. And I believe there will be athletes coaching as well. It's a great opportunity for everybody. I appreciate Grant Patterson for coming on the show once again. I am your host, Jay Stevens, and this has been the Cougar Cast. We'll see you next time.